Good morning, good afternoon, good night, and happy birthday to those who have a birthday today. My name is Samuel Beaver, and welcome to BGN. We have a number of stories for you today. Our first one is from Syrus, who's going to be presenting about his Manna project. So we will be handing it off to... Hang on. Yeah? Interesting. It turns out that I do not, in fact, have an earpiece. Over to you, Syrus.
Hi, my name is Syrus, and my mom is named Deborah, and she does the Rightwood Manna Project. And my mom feeds the homeless. She started in Callen, and now she's feeding the needy, and she's feeding the seniors in Rightwood. And she's doing a little thing at the community center in Rightwood, so seniors can get food in these tough times because of the coronavirus. And I don't have much more to say. I have cats. I have 5 cats. One's Smokey, one is Mule, one is Tigger, one is Shadow, and one is Lewis. One's gray, one's black. Lewis is gray, Shadow is black. Smokey is a really dark black with green eyes. And Mule is brown, gray, light brown, and kind of black, not much.
Thank you, Syrus. In other news, recent news has been turned upside down today. Our next story is from Callen, who is talking about the people who bring packages. Over to you, Callen.
Today on the Good News broadcast, my sister loves drawing, and she wanted to find a way to say thank you to our UPS, FedEx, delivery men. So she created a poster and attached it to the fence. And now I'm just sitting here waiting for packages. Back to you, Sam.
Thank you, Callen. Now, in other news, pigeons. What are they planning, and why does their strategy involve pooping on literally everything? Also, other scientists have reported that your body becomes exactly 1 year older after 365 days have passed. Find out the science later this hour, but first, these top stories. Our next guest is Dean, who is going to be sharing his Animal Crossing New Horizons. Over to you, Dean.
Thank you, Sam. Okay, so we've all been hearing for the coronavirus and people are not be able to coming out. I just really mispronounced that. I am very sorry for that. What I have been trying to say is people have not been able to go outside and meet their friends and do fun stuff because of this quarantine. That's where the developers of Nintendo developed, of course, because they're developers, Animal Crossing New Horizons, the 4th installment of the series of Animal Crossing. It has gone way up in sales, and it has sold more than the console of the Nintendo Switch. Believe it or not, it is true. It was like that you're still in quarantine, but you are still having fun with friends, and you're playing with everyone you know. You're still doing the fun stuff that you remembered, but you're still in the comfort of your home. And back to you, Sam.
Yeah, and I told him yesterday, like, you know, I'm pretty sure that's my teddy bear. I mean, who steals someone's teddy bear? I mean, thank you, Dean. Our next story is from Adam, who's going to be talking about 3D design. Over to you, Adam.
Hello. So during this quarantine, everyone has been having trouble with what do they do? Because what do they do? They're stuck at home. And while others may have found it inconvenient, I found it quite convenient because I like to design things. And so I have been able to spend the time to work on some designs like this, finding different ways to make it work. So this is a car that I'm working on designing with a 3D printer. Will print it, and then I'm going to put it together with some Arduino parts, and it will have shocks, so it will be able to do different kinds of four-wheeling things. There's some code for different things I've been wanting to code. This is for a Minecraft controller, because I like to play Minecraft. And we have a different one with binary. This is for a light show that I'm trying to put together for class. This is another thing for the light show. And so now I'd like to challenge all of you to find something that you've been wanting to do, to work on it and create. So that's all I have to say. Over to you, Sam.
Thanks, Adam. Now, I'm getting reports of a chicken constantly crossing roads across town. A man recently encountered the chicken, and when inquired on why it was crossing the road, the chicken just squawked and continued on its way. The man said that he was inspired by the chicken's boldness and has started a club open to anyone for learning how to be bolder in life. We've reached out to the chicken for comment. The chicken has not responded. Moving back to our main stories, we now have a story from Maya, who is going to be talking about music tech class instruments. Over to you, Maya.
Thank you, Sam. So I'm Maya, and I teach a music tech class, and in my class we build a lot of instruments. So my little brother, Callen, is also in the class, and he is so excited about building all of the instruments. He was especially excited about building a certain instrument using popsicle sticks that he made one for every single other member of his family so that we could all play them together. So now we can all play popsicle stick harmonicas in harmony. Back to you, Sam.
Thank you, Maya. That music was truly beautiful. And in other news, we have gotten word that there are some strange happenings at this restaurant, a viral picture of a breakfast restaurant that is open 24 hours, that is also closed. Can science explain this? Find out later when we bring our top scientist working on the case. However, we move back to our main stories, where we will move to Sadie, who will be talking about, or Laney, my bad, who will be talking about all about Brenley. Over to you, Laney.
Good morning, everyone. I know it's been kind of hard having to stay home all the time, but lucky for us, we've been able to have live performances from a local artist. We'll see if Brenley, sings for us today.
Thank you, Laney. We will now move on to our next story from Sadie, who will be talking about her new watch. Over to you, Sadie.
Well, yesterday I got a new watch that used to belong to one of my siblings, and it counts my steps so that I know how much I'm exercising every day. My favorite thing about the watch is that it's waterproof, and I also like that it's a stylish bright red. Back to you, Sam.
Thank you, Sadie. Now, in other news, scientists have been looking into an influx of heated air, and it turns out that the bulk of the heated air is coming from Chad's mouth. Now, we move on to our next story coming from Peyton, who is going to be talking about things that you can be doing right now during quarantine. Over to you, Peyton.
The great outdoors, one of our great escapes during this terrible lockdown. Although we can't meet up with friends, there are still plenty of things to do outdoors. I've been talking with people on the street, from a safe distance, of course, and it seems there are a variety of great outdoor things to do. A walk in the park has become quite popular, as it is available to most anyone that can drive about 10 to 15 minutes on average to a park. Fishing has also become quite popular, as you can stay far enough away from people to be properly social distant, but still have fun netting fish and catching food for your family. As a bonus, people have been making food out of this fish so that they don't have to go to stores as much, which can help to decrease the levels of different coronavirus infections in our area. Another thing you can be doing is trying to start a family band, as while you're at home, there's plenty of time to practice with your siblings and parents to create a family bonding experience and make the best out of this terrible, terrible time. Back to you, Sam.
Thank you, Peyton. I will make sure to practice my singing lessons later. Now we will move on to the weather. It will be lighter towards morning and darker towards evening. Summer will be coming later this year, followed by a few months of fall Snow continues to be cold, and though traditionally March came in like a lion and out like a lamb in previous years, this year it came out like an emu. Stay tuned for our talk with our top meteorologist about this development. But first, we will continue our top stories. Our next one is from Brandon, who will be talking about his dog, Jennie. Over to you, Brandon.
This is my dog, Jennie. I got at 8.5 weeks old. She is now almost 9 months old and weighs 63 pounds. She is fluent in all her obedience commands, sit, down, and stay. She knows how to speak, and then she's in the process of learning how to shake. And she also, I want to do dock diving with her, and I want to teach her jumping. Back to you, Sam.
Thanks, Brandon. We now have a couple other dog stories for you today. Our next one is from Madison. Over to you, Madison.
So, there are 4 puppies that we have, and they're all so cute. But the catch is, we got this new dog who is the mommy of these puppies, and we thought she was constipated. So it was a big surprise to all of us whenever she had puppies one day. So, and it's really been a good distraction from the quarantine, and it's just really helped us a lot to just cope with not being able to go outside. Back to you, Sam.
Thank you, Madison. Our next dog story comes from Debbie, who will be giving us an update on Lacey. Debbie?
Here's Miss Lacey. As some of you guys remember her as a little tiny puppy. And so what I want to do is a quick screen share because she has grown quite a bit. Just to give you a comparison, this was Lacey when she was little and tiny. She was about 20 pounds, I think, when we first got her. And the other picture is Lacey just a week or 2 ago, and a couple of the curious kids came to visit her. She was so excited to see Blake and Tyler. And I think she's about 45 pounds now. And I was told that she has like another 15 pounds to go, so she's gonna get really big. I wanted to share with you a couple of her favorite toys. Her very favorite toy is that green lamb chop up in the corner. She takes that thing just about everywhere. Like Brandon, I'm working with her on obedience, and every once in a while she tries to be obedient. So she's kind of sitting up in the corner up there. But the other day in Zoom, she's not real fond of Zoom. She's kind of wiggling around all over the place here. So I'm sitting in Zoom and I hear a crunching noise behind me, and I turn around and that picture on the bottom is what I see. So that's Lacey's opinion about Zoom. But here's the real Lacey. She just wants to say hi to all of her curious kids, especially if they have treats. She loves treats. Back to you, Sam.
Thank you, Debbie. We will now switch up these stories a little bit and talk a little bit about cats. Our next story comes from Jonah, who will be talking about cat hats. Jonah?
Thank you, Sam. Good morning. In today's Cat Hat News, we'll bring you a story all the way from Japan. Do you ever wonder what to do with all that cat hair floating around in your house? Well, here's an idea. Photographer Ryo Yamazaki and his wife Hiromi have created a new trend known as nukeji. Nukeji is the Japanese word for shed fur. The Yamazakis are using a felting technique to turn their cat's hair into hats for them. What a great idea. I guess you could say that this is the Cat in the Hat story, but with a twist. Back to you, Stan.
Thank you, Jonah. And that was a really good joke you made there. Speaking of jokes, I've prepared a joke ahead of time to share with you all. 2 cats were racing on top of a river in Paris. One cat was named 123 and the other 1, 2, 3. Which cat won? 1, 2, 3, because 1, 2, 3, cat sank. We now move on to our next story, covered by Steve, who will be talking about the super bloom in the desert. Steve?
Thanks, Sam. So I just want to share some pictures with you. I could say things, but it's not nearly as good as the pictures I could show you. So I'm going to share my screen and show you some of the cool things that we're seeing in the desert. So we're seeing lots of yellow and white. I don't know what any of these things are called. There's lots of purple in the canyons. That's really cool. I don't know what that's called either. There's these yellow and orange things that I don't know what they're called, but they're really cool and they're like everywhere now. And then there's something, I think that is mustard back there, but I don't even know if that's true. There's more of the yellow things because they're really cool. And more of the yellow things even because I think they're really cool. I saw a red thing the other day. It was kind of nice. Let's see. Oh, and there's purple things out there. And there's some white ones that are big. And evidently birds. There's another white one I saw this morning. I just saw that one. That's a new one. I have not seen that one before. There's a white thing, but it's not a flower. Oh, and if you live in California, like a lot of us do, California poppies are popular this year. More yellow things because I like them, this time with the mountains in the background. That's a poppy as well, but it's an Icelandic poppy, but I have no idea what it's doing in California. I think it got lost. Lots more purple flowers in the desert and yellow flowers. This is some that we're growing in our front yard. They don't naturally grow in the desert unless they do. And lots of purple and white and yellow because it rained in April. That's why we have all these flowers. And this is a cool picture that Debbie took. And as usual, the sunsets and sunrises in the desert are amazing. Back to you, Sam.
Thank you, Steve. I heard that problem in this area, but those flowers certainly are beautiful. One might say fantastic. Speaking of which, our next story comes from Sarah, who will be talking about fantastic art. Over to you, Sarah.
Hello. Have you ever been bored in quarantine and you've just been sitting on the couch wondering what to binge watch next? You know, you probably had that problem before. Well, I got something for you. Why don't you try drawing? Drawing is, you take a pencil and you actually get yourself a piece of paper and you draw. You can become a good artist like this, not like this. It's a piece of paper, but it has a drawing of Falco from Star Fox. So if you're ever bored, grab yourself a piece of paper and actually draw because you have nothing better to do, probably. Back to you, Sam.
Thank you, Sarah. I've looked on Netflix recently and I didn't see any drawing, but I will get my piece of paper and try binge drawing. All right, our next story is from Keaton, who will be talking about the science of creativity. Keaton?
Hello, everybody. Oh, wait, hold on. Thank you, Sam. I just want to tell you guys a little bit about the science of creativity and the cool brain-exploding things that we got to see in these last couple of weeks. Because there's I wish I could just put it in a couple really short words of how, it's probably one of my favorite topics, honestly, but divergent thinking is kind of when you're going off into the expanse, the phrase that there is nothing wrong, like you can't suggest anything that's going to be wrong. And then there's convergent thinking that allows you to narrow down and kind of get some different rules for this thing that you're chasing after. It gets it all the way down. And I think that it's one of the most powerful tools around is to understand the science of creativity. If you're interested, you should join the club or the class. All right, back to you, Sam.
Thank you, Keaton. I gotta say, my brain just got 2 centimeters bigger just listening to you. All right, our next story comes from Daphne, who has a cautionary tale about a red button. Daphne?
Hi, Sam. So we have something called breakout rooms that we go to. And when you go to a breakout room, something will pop up on your screen and it will say, join breakout room. And one of our young learners decided that he was going to let everyone know how to leave to the breakout room. And if you look, there is a lovely red button that says leave. That will have you leave the meeting. And he was just telling everybody, press the red button, press the red button. And that, in fact, is not the right answer. You press the blue button that says leave to breakout room. Back to you, Sam.
Thank you, Daphne. Definitely a word of warning. All right, we're getting breaking news from Daisy, who's going to be talking about teamwork. All right, Daisy, what do you have?
Hello. Okay, so breaking news. Today in forensics class, kids were using teamwork to engage more in their activity. How they were doing this is one of them, they had an assignment where they were supposed to make up a crime scene, a story, typical forensics things. And they all had their own twist to the story, and how it drew and how it played out was very interesting. That it was plot twists. There's many plot twists. Might say some plot holes, but it's okay. It's okay. It was just a rough draft. And yeah, that's the breaking news for today. Back to you, Sam.
Thank you, Daisy. And I'm getting reports that warm headwear is cool, so I'm trying it out. We move on to our next story covered by Hannah, who will be sharing some jokes with us. Hannah?
Thanks, Sam. Well, I'm here today to tell you guys some jokes. And my first joke is, what do you call a boomerang that doesn't come back? A stick. What's blue? And not really heavy at all. Light blue. So I lost my mood ring today, and I'm not quite sure how I feel about it. Hold on, I got two more. How do you get a sea creature to play music? You tuna fish. What do you mean June is over? Julying. And that's all I got. Thanks, Sam.
Thanks, Hannah. And it turns out that warm headwear is actually not cool, and the person who said that to me was pulling a prank on me. I will proceed to take this off while we move on to our next story, which is covered by Raven, who will be talking about traveling during the days of quarantine. Raven?
Oh my. So I was on the plane last week on Wednesday, and it was amazing because there was only 3 people flying, and one of them was the pilot, and we all walked on the plane together. We walked off the plane together, going to the same stop. So it was interesting. And we all had our mask on to keep us safe, and it was very social distancing and not a lot of people. I had the whole plane to myself, the whole back plane to myself, and it was a very quiet trip. And once we landed, no one knew what to do because no one was in a rush to get off. So we literally sat on the plane for 5 minutes after it parked, and because we didn't know what to do. So that was crazy. I had my mask on.
Thank you, Raven. I gotta say, I'm certainly glad that the pilot was one of the people flying. And in our final news story, I've been told to report to you that Chad's visit with Santa last year was a success. They knocked out a deal where Chad got everything he wanted as long as he was a good boy next year. That's all for today's news. Thank you to everyone who shared their stories, and remember, stay kind, stay curious, and stay positive. I'm going to contemplate what reality is. Samuel Beaver, over and
We're sorry, the number you have dialed is not in service at this time.